Thanks.
Good evening, it is 6 o'clock, and this is the December 5th installment of the Port of Cascade Locks Port Commission. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President Lorraine,
Aye.
Vice President Clute,
Here, or sorry.
you sound sick.
She said it.
Yeah,
Commissioner Peterson,
Here.
Commissioner Tweet. Here. And I believe that Commissioner Matson is excused.
Modifications, additions, and changes to the agenda, please. Perfect. Public comment, is there anybody online that wishes to speak?
I don't see any.
Okay, perfect. Special presentations, reports by outside resources, staff, and government officials.
So we have
David,
David,
David McCurry.
so we have David McCurry with us. He's the bridge engineer. He's been with us for just about 10 years. We just figured it out. And I just gave him the most knowledgeable person on earth about the bridge we got. So he will also be presenting to us at our strategic business plan. There's going to be lots to talk about the life of the bridge and the future of the bridge. But I've been trying to get David in front of you guys since you guys became commissioners because it is such a large part of the Port of Cascade Locks. So tonight, he's just going to facilitate a bit of a discussion about the bridge, the history of the bridge, the things he's been involved with on it, any questions you guys might have. This is just sort of our first introductory conversation about the bridge.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah mentioned that I thought it'd be nice tonight just to have a conversation about the bridge. Just super quick, I'll give my background. So just out of curiosity, I'm Oregon grown, born in Portland, grew up in Canby, went to Oregon State, and have done work here in Oregon for 24 years around bridges. Almost half of which has now been with the Bridge of the Gods. I worked on a lot of other bridges as well, from West Virginia to Washington and California. Always based here out of Portland, but just to give you a sense, worked on the River Bridge as well. So I have a pretty good sense as to what's important within the gorge beyond just, the fact that it's a bridge. Just the engineering of a bridge is one thing, but really understanding how it fits within the community and how it impacts the community is an important part of the bridges as well. It's a piece of transportation infrastructure that's important to the region. Obviously, you guys are very aware of that. So just a few things, and then I'll just leave it open for open discussion. We've done a number of things in the past historically. Years ago, we started down this process of looking at a 15-year plan for the bridge to start to identify and really look forward to what are the needs on the bridge. And that process has been refined over a few years. And so there's an adopted 15-year plan. The last updated April 2022. So Jeremiah and I have been discussing the possibility, re-looking at that and updating that and just getting a current understanding of where the bridge is at, what the needs are. And the plan looks at all kinds of things, anywhere from just railing, painting, lighting, and it gets into more complicated things, retrofits and potential improvements. So as we go into the planning and we look forward to the future, there'll be lots of opportunity to have really detailed discussions on that plan. So with that, maybe I'll just kind of let the conversation be open and, go where is best, maybe answer any questions. I think there's no questions are off the table.
Did we get any feedback yet from ODOT on their most recent inspection?
Yeah, so just a real quick story there. ODOT is required to make sure all the bridges in the state are inspected. And for your bridge, it ends up having to be every 2 years. Some bridges it's every 4 years, maybe more. But because it's a notable bridge, it's a certain type, it gets inspected every 2 years. Now, just completed. And a draft inspection was provided. There was no surprise findings. It's a lot of the same issues that we've been aware of that go into the 15-year plan to look ahead and plan for repairs and retrofits. It's in draft form right now, so they're working on finalizing. I did talk to them yesterday. So that final report will become available. It's very very detailed, you know, essentially they climb on the bridge and look at every piece and part within arm's reach. To make sure there's nothing scary happening. And it's been around for almost 100 years, so nothing scary is happening right now.
When we get that report back, we'll bring that to you guys, let you look at it.
Yeah.
It's interesting, every 2 years we get that, I was hoping it was gonna be available tonight, but we got after it pretty early, usually it takes a while to get them out here, but they came out very early this
Yeah,
year.
just
so.
trying to beat the rain.
So do you see, some of the primary problems, coming up being, the approaches to the bridges? To the bridge?
Yeah, I mean, in bridge engineer speak, we typically call approaches like on your bridge, it's the Washington side and Oregon side. There's approach structures, which is, you know, when you look at the Bridge of the Gods, there's the big truss. You see across the river, it's actually your logo. Is the truss is across the river. There's spans that approach that are structural spans, and then there's the roadway that approaches the bridges, right? Think about the curved loop ramp that goes up through the toll booth, and on the Washington side, there's interchange. There's work to be done in all of those areas in terms of modernization, improvements, fixing, repairing railing. If you drive up the loop ramp, the railing, you go up there, you know, as you drive up there, it's on the side of the road, it needs repair. Some of those things get kind of lumped into the bridge approaches in terms of work that needs to be done. And those are minor costs relative to things that are out on the bridge, like bearings and joints and things like that. Does that answer your question, Brad? Yeah.
I guess, were there plans for next year to have like some permanent lighting on the bridge for like the holidays, or is that separate?
So me and David have talked that around quite a bit, of getting that bridge lit up, mostly from an economic development sort of standpoint. As much as it probably does need to be lit up better from a safety standpoint too, it's a pretty dark bridge. It's nothing that's ever made it into a budget. It's always been talked about. I think it would be really exciting. I think it would probably draw people to the area over and over and over as we change the colors on it to match the holiday or whatever it was that we were promoting. I don't know that we've ever got very far in getting numbers on that or really diving into it deeper than. And I think we've talked a couple of ways, like LED lights of some sort, or just big giant spotlights. I think there's a number of ways to sort of light that bridge up. I don't think we've ever put hard numbers together on it. Money's just got to spend different ways, just always got to spend different ways, either on the bridge or on other projects. But it's an interesting and exciting one. I really do think people would show up to see a green bridge, a purple bridge, a yellow bridge, a red bridge, like, and the amount of photography that would generate. And just, I mean, people already come to this place just to take pictures of that bridge, but probably would do it over and over and over again if they get different visuals. So something we talked about it. Commissioner Stippen was very hot on lighting, getting lit on the bridge, getting lit up. Also wanted to fly a plane underneath it for the 100-year anniversary. So, but both of those, I think, would probably draw attention to this town. Be good economic development place for sure.
The only thing I think I remember this past summer on the Washington side, the sign above the bridge, it's minor cosmetic. It's like one of them's like offset. I don't know if that sign's plans to be replaced.
That was that was like a comedy of errors. And so the museum called me and they changed their name. They're not the Gordon Museum now, not the Interpretive Center. So she said, hey, do you think there's any chance if we could raise some money that we could go in together and do signs? Well, that one side of ours has always looked terrible. It drove me nuts. And so I told Todd to go up there and take the interpretive side down and take a look at our sign. Well, when he got up there, he was like, oh, this has like halogen lights that are behind it that used to like light up like a. And he was like, are we gonna do that anymore? I was like, no, we're not gonna be going up there changing light bulbs on the bridge.
Yeah.
So when he took the one down off the interpretive center, there was this really pretty rough looking Washington, welcome to Washington sign. So if anything, it's probably motivated me to make that move a little bit faster. I think what we'll do is end up taking down that entire light up box and we'll just put something up there that can live through the weather a little bit better and it's a little bit more attractive.
It is one thing though, it's that postcard photo when you look towards how tall the Cascades are there and just having some sort of signage there so people know that it is Bridge to God would be nice.
Yeah, it was that sign has bothered me for a long time and now it bothers me even worse. But we have set aside some money for that. Signage always kind of made it. It was just a matter of whether we were going to tackle it or not. But with now ugly as it is, and with the fact that we now have a partner that's wanting to also give some money involved into it, it makes it a little bit easier. I'm hoping this spring.
So, the grading on the bridge, I know that we have a welding program, are we scheduled for a welding program? What's the typical, timeline on those? How far apart or just as needed?
I mean, traditionally for the Bridge of Gods, it's been as needed, and I would say historically in the recent past, the port's done a good job of actually staying on top of the weld issues and reduce the effort.
Yeah, this year was the first year that we said, well, so we increased our welding work on the bridge. It used to be real clicky clacky when we drove across that bridge. It was just click, 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 and it's all these little micro breaks that happen in the metal grate. And so, I don't know if you were responsible for it or Todd or you both, but they came up with a twice a year welding program, both in the fall and in the spring. And they went out and hit those cracks. And every year we were seeing less and less and less and less cracks. And so this is the first year where I said, well, let's take a break from the welding program and see if we get behind or if it just holds up. Like we finally got caught up and got caught ahead. And ODOT was at the last inspection. That's one of the questions I asked him in the debrief was, how do we look on the cracks? I said, look really good. So we might be getting down to where we do it every other year, which is cool because that leaves us some money for other sorts of maintenance that we can do on the bridge. One of the things David has pounded through my head is a clean bridge is a happy bridge. Our bridge happens to stay relatively clean because we get so much rain and we get so much wind. And so if we could do some pressure washing on different areas of the bridge, those are things that can be helpful that are pretty low cost and things that our maintenance department can do some of, right? There's definitely places on that bridge we're not gonna have Todd up and cleaning, but there are some things that we can do. So to be able to take that welding money and put it towards different maintenance pieces, pretty cool.
What's the max truck load right now?
We need a load limit essentially, which is an 80,000 pound.
Okay, so we're back at 80,000, because I remember last year something dropped down while we're doing that work.
Yeah. Every once in a while, something comes up in inspection reports and for, to be safe, to drop the load limit down to.
Okay.
Based on engineering calculations, what it mesh, needs to be. Incidentally, right now, the Port of the Rivers having similar issues, so you guys are in good shape on the deck walls, been well maintained, so.
Now, obviously, when that bridge was built, trucks weren't 80,000 pounds. Is that bridge adequate? I mean, obviously, 80,000 pound truck does put more wear and tear on the bridge. Is it adequate to maintain those types of 80,000 pound loads?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer to your question, Brett, is that about 6 or 7 years ago, there was a little bit of this backstory where the bridge had never been load rated, which is more of a really detailed analysis of the bridge, all the structural components. ODOT had kind
I
of.
guess that was my question.
Yeah.
Know how to say it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So there's load limits that get imposed, load posting. But there's a load rating, which is really just an analysis of the bridge, and that was done, less than 10 years ago. It was an interesting story and it got all resolved. But there was a very detailed analysis done of all the components that are affected by the trucks to determine the legal load limits were safe to continue to operate. But you're right, the bridge wasn't designed for those loads. It just so turns out that it's in good shape and it's strong. Honestly, it's as Jeremiah mentioned, it's in good shape in terms of the weather, the benefit of the rain and wind, and it's not salty here, so the bridge is in very good shape. Now, there are a lot of little things that need to be fixed. There is rust, there is rivets and bolts that need to be just repaired and maintained, which is totally normal for a bridge like this, so it's not, there's nothing to do. But it's in better shape. As I was thinking about this, it's better shape than my Jeep. My Jeep's much younger.
A lot of comparisons between us and the Hood River Bridge, but very different, right?
Structurally very different. The age is very similar. I mean, both bridges were built around in the 20s, right, and then raised in the 30s because of the vaudeville dam system put in place. You need to get bridges higher for clearances. But because the bridge is fixed, the Hood River Bridge has a lift span on it, and your bridge is a little different. I mean, you sort of drive through the truss, whereas in Hood River you kind of drive over the truss. But there's a lot of other nuances. They're both steel. They're both trusses, but they're shaped very different. Bridge of the Gods is when you're on it, if you feel a heavy truck go by when you're sitting there waiting for traffic, you'll feel the bounce. But that's actually true on the River Bridge as well. That's pretty normal for a bridge like that. It's strong. but it's kind of big and airy and flexible. That's what's common, so. Yeah, similarities in terms of the issues, but the structure itself is different.
I think our decking's better than
It
theirs.
turns out, I did a deep
Decking
dive.
updated, and that was probably a worse decision than leaving the old decking, because I hear they have more problems with the new decking than.
Yeah, they recently decided to look at it again. Because of the concern for wear from the heavy vehicles over there on the bridge deck. Their deck design looks different than yours. To a layperson, you might walk by and goes, oh, it's the same kind, same type. But the details are different, and so this Bridge of the Gods deck holds up a little better.
Are there any regulations that keep you? To keep it safe, or, you know, do they check it by so many years and you
Yeah.
have to do a study, or?
Yeah, so the load rating was the analysis that had never been done, that we kind of forced Spinbott's hand to do it because there was an IG between the board and ODOT. The bridge was originally designed with engineering, right? But then there was a long period of time where nobody did an analysis on it using modern codes and modern evaluation methods. But that did happen. So ODOT undertook through an IGA with the board this detailed analysis to check all the pieces of parts that should be safe for vehicles and pedestrians. And, you know, there's like an officially stamped and signed sealed report that indicates that it's safe for legal trucks, truck weights 80,000 pounds.
And when did they do that? I mean, when is the cycle for that?
So the load rating, the analysis, doesn't have to be redone unless there's a change on the bridge. And so every 2-year cycle of inspections,
2-year cycle.
yeah, there's a 2-year inspection cycle, and if something's notably less in terms of condition on the bridge, they will be required to go back and redo the load rating. Because the inspections feed into a condition analysis of the bridge to be able to say, okay, well, these, you know, there's more rust here, so we can't count on the strength. For whatever, you know, there's a lot of nuanced details there, but they reduce the reliability in the calculations so that the bridge is safer, and we basically have a whole process that keeps the public safe using the process. There's a national highway system and Association of Highway Transportation Officials that federally dictates what all the states have to do, and then all the states take care of all the agencies within their state. Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that.
So they pay for the inspection, and then if there's any faults, then the port has to pay.
A little more nuanced in that the federal government gives the states money to do bridge inspections and load ratings. And then the state and the port, and this happens with quite a few other agencies, sign an IGA. And the state basically says, we'll do this for you to make sure that it's done properly, and you don't have to worry about it. But we're gonna keep that little bucket of money that would have gone to you to do it yourself. It's actually a good deal for the poor, because to mobilize and do this every 2 years, you know, because of efficiencies, economies of scale, the ODOT can do it very quickly, repetitively with the resources. So it's a win-win. Yeah.
Commissioner Clute has a question, I believe.
Hi, I was just curious. I know one of the big things that we're working toward is getting a walkway across the bridge. What are some of the next steps we have to do to the bridge to to get to that end goal?
That's a great question. I'll give you the elevator speech, and then I'd be happy to answer questions and dive deeper into the details. Keeping in mind that the bridge was only designed for what's out there today in terms of the size and shape of it. And it wasn't designed for the legal vehicles that we are using it for today. So it is seeing more wear than it was originally intended for. And it's almost 100 years old. Additional weight to put additional walkways on the bridge requires a pretty detailed analysis of the bridge structurally. So you have to go back to that analysis, that load rating, and do math to say, okay, if I have extra pedestrians, in fact, oftentimes it's opening day, you know, when a facility's been designed and it's out there and everybody wants to go out there and there's a grand opening and there's a lot of pedestrians out there, like we do a detailed engineering evaluation of the structure that's out there today and what would need to happen to the structure in order to put additional weight on the bridge. So, and that would be true if you're adding a lane or you're adding additional width for pedestrians and bicyclists, and at the time it was first contemplated horses as well. So that engineering and that evaluation and sort of alternatives analysis would result in some recommendations and the cost estimate for what that would really take. And that idea has been contemplated a few times now. And there have been some estimates so far, mostly just based on experience and rough order of magnitude. It might cost about this much to do something like this. But to really kind of move further down the path, there's like a lot of engineering analysis and then, you know, cost estimating, and then decisions would have to be made about, okay, does the board really want to continue down the path of building this? Because it's gonna cost X amount of dollars.
Just assuming engineering wise, there's a number of different options, whether as far as materials, et cetera, the aluminum obviously lighter. In comparison to its strength, and could be a factor as far as potential design for the pedestrian walkway.
Yes,
And width could make a difference depending on, like you said, the type of pedestrians, horses, et cetera. So lane width could be a big difference.
yeah, that's right, Brad. And what I like to equate it to is like when you go to buy a car, there's a lot of different like extras you can get. And so you have to have this conversation about, well, do you want a walkway on both sides of the bridge or just one side? Because that will cost different, right? In terms of the strengthening of the bridge that you need to occur, and even the bicycle and pedestrian connections on either side. So, and then the materials you decide to use, how wide the walkway is, aesthetically what it looks like, how does it match the bridge that's there or not? And then, you know, do you want it to look nice or do you want it to be more utilitarian? There are a lot of evaluations that you can run through. Some quickly, some take a little more time thinking, and some take community input. Sometimes when you have a bridge like the Bridge of the Gods, which has the perfect name to be considered a historic structure, and it is 100 years old, so there is a state historic preservation office that says, hey, hang on here, I want to weigh in and make a statement about what you're doing to that bridge. Right. So that happens as well. And so yeah. Good.
In your role, would you be involved with, say we get to the proposal where we build out that pedestrian path on, I'm assuming it's gonna be on the east side of the bridge, make the most sense? Or would it be the west side?
Probably.
At that time, would you also consider, or would you be involved with redesigning the toll house where we could have like an express lane for like people with, you know, breeze by stickers and stuff like that?
Yeah, couple answers. So one is, I personally have looked at which side makes most sense and made my own personal decision. But that might be more of a community, you know, commission kind of discussion. You know, I think a lot of
I
people,
think we had some initial discussions about it being on the west side because of the PCT,
yeah,
which comes
right,
on that side of the bridge, and
Right.
also how it would tie into the Oregon or the Washington Trail system. Also, primarily the Pacific Crest Trail,
Yeah.
which they've talked about will it go under, or talked about maybe it will go under Highway 14.
sure,
And that would probably, the west side would tie in best to the trail, the existing trail systems.
great answer. And then at the same time, we looked at that, how would you reconnect? Mostly in concept, you know, kind of what I'll call fat lines on paper. You know, like, what about this? We also looked at moving the toll booth, sort of making an adjustment to that, to make the pedestrian kind of movement through the area a little safer. Usually when you touch something like that, then you have to meet current standards. That's something to be aware of. ADA is oftentimes something that comes up. You mess with an intersection.
Yeah, I think we've got some concept drawings of moving the toll booth kind of around the corner, removing the restrooms and widening, and then having a bypass lane. And so.
Yeah. And you can do that just conceptually, you know, just kind of high level, and then say, you know, is this something that we want to continue to look at? So, cool, good question.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say being silver, first of all, I love the fact that bridge is silver and not green. Because boy, the other day when the sun was low and just about to set, I was over in Washington, you could see that bridge and it was like lit up. It was, you know, with electric, so if you made a walkway that was aluminum, obviously it's
Yeah.
already solar.
Yeah, and light.
And like, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. The hot rod bridge in Portland actually is a unique kind of situation. If you've ever looked at it, it's a green bridge with the tall towers and it has like red concrete weights at the top. It's actually quite a bit wider than it originally was, and they did in fact just put like this very lightweight pedestrian walkway on the outside. It's a simple bridge in that it's just, fairly straight, but kind of a similar situation where you have an old bridge that had some extra capacity, turns out. And so they were able to put this wider walkway on both sides, so it could be done. The bridge to Gaza wasn't designed for trains. The Hawthorne Bridge was, so they had some extra capacity. Yeah. So, good questions.
Yeah, if we could try that out here, then,
Maybe they can
we
pay
could get a lot of funding, we could get a lot of funding for the bridge, because TriMet seems to be able to get funding more than it needed for those, trains and all that stuff.
So if we make upgrades, well, just before we even do upgrades, what's like an average, is it I guess a 10-year cost for maintenance? And maybe like the whole, how much to date have,
Whatever.
put that into?
Yeah, so there is a 15-year plan that exists, and what I recommend is that we take a close look at it and talk about what kind of revisions maybe need to be made. Things didn't necessarily happen that were maybe in the plan, in terms of maybe just repairs and things like that, so they kind of need to be moved around. And then we can do like a year by year estimate of what, depending on what level of effort you want to put into the bridge. And there's a discussion that we could have maybe later where we talk about, what's just the minimum that you can do to maintain, right?
Mhm.
And then the next conversation is, well, what are the upgrades? You mentioned upgrades. So there's just maintenance, but then there's upgrades. Some are middle of the road, some are, maybe more aspirational or bigger. And there's a lot of different potential upgrades that haven't thought about on the bridge of God. So the answer to your question really just depends on what's the plan, right? Like, is it just is the plan just to maintain status quo? Do the bare minimum, somewhere in the middle, try to prevent bigger issues in the future by doing some maintenance like painting in the near term. I think that sounds pretty hand wavy, but the answer is it's millions of dollars to do big projects,
Mhm.
right? Like the Hood River Bridge replacement right now is being touted as $520 million all in. And that's new bridge and take out the old bridge. So that's not what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about something quite a bit less. But pedestrian, addition of pedestrian bike is tens of millions to do that, depending on what you do. Basic maintenance and stuff is, pretty small. Depends if it's just annual, yearly maintenance, obviously less than $1 million. Probably less than $100,000 if it's just welding, right? So if you're gonna start doing larger projects like a lighting upgrade, now we're getting north of $1 million. When we're starting to do things like a major painting, like a minor painting might just be a few $1 million, but you wouldn't be able to paint the whole bridge for a few $1 million, right? That's tens of millions to truly go out there and blast all the paint off and start over, which sometimes is done, sometimes the state does that on their bridges. So anyway, those are kind of like maybe placeholders for what we're talking about, roughly. Does that help?
In the last 10, 12 years, most of the major expense has been, only to get it back up to 80,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Both the repair we did on the approach was about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah,
And then in 2013, we had, downscaled the bridge for a couple of months.
yeah.
I can't recall how much that repair was, but
I think that one, if I'm remembering correctly, it was just around $2 million. That one's getting a little fuzzy in my mind, just to repair some deck issues. The recent strengthening project, to maintain the 80,000 pound weight limit was, I think the price tag for that ended up around $650,000 to $700,000 total of all the things. So those are structural things, require, expertise and lots of field work, so they start to cost more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I wanna be cognizant about is if we want, of course, we all want a walkway, but we want to make sure that we're able to maintain it And also, I guess Brad would know this most, whenever these upgrades happen, the port pays for it, or are we looking for grants for these things? I mean, how has that been handled in the past?
That's the big discussion that we're.
So yeah, we've looked for a number of different funding sources on it. We've also looked for some legislative options that would.
Not now, I mean, in the past.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've looked for some legislative options along the way. We have paid for a number of these projects ourselves. We've also got help from the state on a couple of them.
Okay.
And it does fall into sort of that they come out, they do that 2-year inspection, they see something, and they go, we gotta go back and reassess the weight limit on this. And they come back, they reassess the weight limit, and then it comes back to us and we say, okay, do we wanna make this investment in this repair in order to bring it back up to 80,000 pounds?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
And, we got a lot of help in 2013, from all our regional legislators because of the huge impact that had on, local freight and, clear up into Yakima. It cost, a lot of companies, a lot of extra money to, go through the river and go around the long way and that sort of thing. So, ODOT had a little bit of pressure both to help find a way to help fund it and, to speed the process up. And I think we got it done in just a matter of a month or two,
Yeah.
which they originally had said was gonna be like a year or more. And, but enough people pushed enough of the right buttons that all of a sudden they ODOT found a pot of money. And was able to help us.
Thank you for that.
This certainly won't be the last time you see David. Like I said before, we just had our inspection done in September, so we'll have the final reports on that. In theory, we expect to hear nothing but things that we've already heard before. That was sort of what we found, heard at the debriefing is, the things we've seen before are still there. They don't seem to have gotten any worse. And then, like I said, he will be present at our strategic business plan meeting. And we'll get in a little bit deeper dive onto the bridge, as well as talk about that 15-year plan, and sort of give it a bit of a facelift.
Yeah, any other questions?
Not right now. I mean, I can pick your brain on that.
Sure.
We spent plenty of nights picking his brain about it.
Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Thanks, David. Sorry it's taking so long to get you in front of you, but it's
No.
Consent agenda. Approval of minutes of the commission meeting of November 7th, 2023. And city port joint work session on November 15th, 2023. Approved resolution number 2023-6.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 7th, 2023, and the city joint work session on November 15th, 2023, and approve the resolution for ordinance number 2023-6.
All right, been a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
I second it.
Okay, been a motion and a second.
Rob, you included the ordinance. This is just the minutes, right?
if you call it an ordinance, it's a resolution.
Or resolution.
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 Sorry.
Correct. Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Executive Director report.
Tomorrow I'll be attending the Skamania County Regional Transportation Committee, making with updates on any of the projects that are happening in Skamania County, transportation wise, so anything that could affect traffic on the bridge, things of that nature. We usually also give an update on anything that we've got going on the bridge. I'll start having Parker attend those with me, just for insight on what's going to be happening on his bridge going forward. Please keep your eyes on your emails. Moss Adams is actively scheduling interviews right now. I just scheduled mine for the 12th. She said they're about 45 minutes long. I think my last one was like an hour and 15 minutes. So it's kind of choose your own adventure. If you have feedback, they're going to take it. So 45 minutes is what I've scheduled for. Wednesday, December 13th, 11:30 to 1. This Skamania County Government Affairs Luncheon. Actually have an extra spot reserved for a commissioner. So if anybody's interested in going to that with me, it's 11/31, December 13th. If you want to send me an email, we can get you in there, give you over the agenda on that. Friday the 15th, I'll be participating in the listening session for Business Oregon Strategic Business Plan. I'll also, I don't know if anybody else has any interest in that, but I will send you over a link to that as well. If it's something you want to listen in on, it's on Zoom. I also wanted to welcome Zara Parker. She's our newest employee. She is now working at the toll bridge as a toll taker. We're excited to have her. Congratulations to Parker Nelson, who has his new role as the operations manager. This was his first week. It's going well. We're glad to have him in the office. And I also want to take an opportunity to thank Brittany Birdie for all she contributed to the port and the community of Cascade Locks. She was wonderful to work with. All of us will miss her insights and her entertainment. We wish her well at the Army Corps of Engineers. We were very lucky to have her. I want to thank the maintenance department for surviving our first snow. I got to like 5:45 and was like, I'm gonna beat them all out there and they're gonna see me driving around, and now they were already in the plows getting after it. Didn't even come close. In the next meeting, I'm gonna be recommending a finance commission committee. Commission committee is comprised of 2 commissioners. I'm currently creating the charge for that, so I'll have that at the next meeting. We'll take a look at that. But basically it's going to be able to provide oversight and counseling as we work with Meridian Co. to achieve transparency and compliance in our finances. A tremendous amount of work is happening behind the scenes to modernize us, digitize us, and bring our accounting procedures up to current standards. So I'll be looking to get the commission to appoint 2 commissioners for that at the next meeting. And I'll have a charge ready for you, but that'll be its general direction. And we'll probably leave that in place. I don't see why we wouldn't. There's enough work going sort of into this. And it's been a process for the last 4 years for us to work towards this. So I think we'll leave it in place until this commission doesn't want to anymore. But I would love to have the treasurer involved. Again, it's up to the commission on who we decide to do that. But I definitely love for Rob to be involved in it. Yeah, I'll bring it to you guys for a motion at the next meeting when we have the charge, and you guys can think about whether or not you want to sign up for another meeting. I apologize. We'll do it after hours or whenever it fits for the 2 commissioners.
This would be something twice a month, once a month?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna work with you guys because it's a commission committee, right? And because it's such a big project that we're currently involved in, and there's a lot of effort going towards it. Like I'm gonna leave it up a little bit to you guys on how often you want to meet. It's something we work on every day at this point. So there's a lot of work being done, a lot of heavy lifting, and I want you guys to be able to feel good and confident about the progress. Unfortunately, there's a lot of waiting for the outcome and not getting to see the progress, and there's no sense in you guys not being able to see the progress happen and be involved in it. So
will you bring like a statement or in the agenda, the purpose, like what you want out of this,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah, at the next meeting I will. I'll have the specific type of committee that it has, because we just recently updated our commission policies to determine the different types of committees that we have. This one is a commission committee, and then there will be a charge. So the direction of that particular committee, what it's there for, what the purpose is, what the outcome is, and we'll have that for you guys to review. Just want to give you a bit of a heads up that it was coming. So
Yeah.
that's all I've got, Mr. President.
All right. Commissioner comments, well, Gary, I guess we'll start with you if you'd like.
Are you feeling it?
I guess my only question is, do you have any updates on Flex 6?
I do not have any updates on Flex 6.
All right. Was
I will put Ann Medenbach on the next agenda to come in and have a visit with us. It's been just about the right amount of time. We get an update from her, but have her come in and visit with commission and let her know into some of the folks she's talked to her and struggles she's running into, just generally what the landscape is looking like out there. So good feedback. We will add her to the next agenda.
That'd be nice.
sounds good. Yeah, no other comments for me.
Thank you.
I went to the Mary Christmas bash on the stern wheeler last Sunday, so that was a good turnout. We had both people from Stevenson and Cascade Locks riding for free. A lot of festive costumes. There's an ugly sweater costume and a little bit of a raffle on there. But it's a great community event. And then there's an upcoming event in town that's actually being organized inside of the city or the port. A bunch of people in the community, such as Travis, Priest, Martha Lamont, Samantha Verchuin, and Brooke. And they've teamed together and they're gonna be at Gorgeous Beer Co. on Saturday from 4 to 9 o'clock. You'll have opportunity to take photos of Santa, hot cocoa, and the giving tree, where you can donate money towards giving out presents to kids in town. So that's all I got for right now. So
And tomorrow night at Thunder Island is a fundraiser for the Gorge Canoe Club, who's
Yeah.
doing great things in our community, so please attend if you can.
yep, I believe every Wednesday at Thunder Island Brewing is gonna be a nonprofit night where they recognize someone in the community and learn more about the organization. So, yeah.
And a foosball tournament.
And a foosball
Dan
tournament.
Sharp's already ready to pull us up.
I went to the PTO Christmas Bazaar on Saturday and picked up a beautiful poinsettia from the PTO. Santa was there, kids and all kinds of good, small gifts. It was really lovely. I was impressed, to say the least. I was even asking for an extra poinsettia and they didn't have any extras. That's how, good they did. So, I really enjoyed that. I look forward to the holidays. Everything that, Rob has mentioned. And trying to think if there's anything. Oh, yeah, Thunder Island is also doing another bazaar, I think on the 20th, right?
Yeah, and I also forgot to mention on Saturday, the Ale House is having their holiday, I think vendor market
Yeah,
around the
and
same
then-
time.
Yeah.
They'll be having some events, and then the fire department, December 14th, is doing their parade, or they're gonna drive through town with the fire engine all decorated, so that'll be December 14th.
Is that a food drive as well? 'Cause in past
I believe
years,
you can
they-
donate in
food
Canada.
drive,
Food to the Fish Food Bank as well, yeah.
Excellent.
I love our town.
All that small town stuff. That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I also attended the event with the PTO Saturday. Deb was there, so I
Uh-huh.
had to help her, although I wasn't much help. But yeah, a lot of great things going on. Stern Wheeler is becoming quite the popular hangout. I went there the other night. We had the Washington,
Oregon, yeah.
Oregon game, and darn it, the Ducks lost. But but it was great. It was a great event. It was well catered. Gorgeous Beer is catering at the Stern Wheeler now, and the food was fantastic. It was $15 for all you basically. Well, it's all you can eat. It's like stuff your plate as much as you want, and then all you can eat is $30. But I'll tell you, one full plate is all I can eat. So, but it was great food, great company, and it's gonna get to be a pretty good place to hang out. There, I'll say, Jetty Light, they're creative, and I wish them the best. They're really stepping it up as far as the re-envisioning how they're doing things. So I think that's a good thing. And do we have any updates on Big Stop? Or is that kind of wait until next season?
Okay, I'm going to meet with Juan, shoot, it's tomorrow, glad I just said that out loud. I'm meeting with Juan tomorrow to get an update on that. I wasn't working with him directly on that quite as much as I probably should have, and we'll get to now, so I'll meet with Juan tomorrow and see where we're on that.
We did not have to do the what is it, the analysis for the traffic analysis.
No, we did the traffic analysis.
We did have to do it.
We did traffic analysis, Darren from Tennyson did that for us. So we did, and I think that there was a certain amount that highlighted a lot of the things that is spawning really good conversations now between the city and the port, and just generally about codes here in Cascade Locks. And so it wasn't something at the time that was going to get fixed. So
Right.
it was just a good one to say, hey, listen, this is the thing that we're having to jump through, and it seems like maybe this is a little outdated, so. It definitely spawned a lot of good conversations both within city council and here at board. But yes, we did that. Right now, Juan's got the floor all tore up in the VC Center doing some plumbing repairs. Parker was out there checking it out yesterday or the day before. And he said if he had a crew of 3 or 4 guys out here, it's probably only 4 or 5 more days worth of work. Like,
I would think so. I mean, they have all their materials in there. Looks like they have all their equipment in there.
So
they're just,
Are they putting in new heating systems? Because I know there's been some conversation about having to update the heat systems or.
So yeah, we need to get mini splits into that building. That could be some, right now, we're looking a little bit, we're looking at all our funding around the ARPA funds. That was the place where we're potentially gonna spend some of the ARPA funds. We got 3 really good quotes on them, one of them for considerably less than all the others, so we're excited about that. But yeah, both Jetty Light customers as well as Extop customers are gonna need an answer for that. And it's a good use of those ARPA funds. That really needs that
And
update.
usually ARPA funds also on the, I know there were some other repairs that be done on that.
Yeah, so on the rest of so when we actually do the dry docking of the stern wheeler to install the new engines, we will be using some of those ARPA funds. We're gonna have to make some purchase on some new mufflers. Because if we didn't, we just went with the older mufflers, it exceeded some sort of pressure rating. It would not make the warranty. And so we're gonna have to make some purchase along the way. They're all ones that we were aware of. We knew this wasn't gonna be just throw the engines in and we move on. There's also electrical updates that they'll do. That is very much, keep telling you guys, January is gonna be rough for you guys, but it really is. We'll talk a lot about the thermal upgrade in January.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much all I have.
I have one more thing. I almost forgot about it. I apologize. So it's the 27th, is that right? It's still it's the 27th is when we're gonna see. So Moss Adams, we work with Moss Adams to see when they can be here to do that work group. So we've chosen, we reached out to commissioners, we didn't get a lot of feedback. We've chosen the 27th, which is a Saturday. I'd like to do 2 days. One day where we bring in I make some presentations. We have some good just coordinated conversations amongst each other, where we can talk about things that we're interested in, talk about some of the things, basically have some of those conversations that you had in your 45-minute interactions individually with Moss Adams, but us as a group can talk. We'll have Dennis there, he'll help, Darren, he'll be part of that. Talk to us about some of our buildings, some of our property. We'll have David there. He'll lead some discussions on the bridge. So that can either happen on the Friday before, or it can happen on the Sunday after. But we're gonna do Saturday with Moss Adams for sure. So it's either the 26th, 27th, or it's the 27th, 28th. And I think either way is fine. Whatever coordinates with people's schedule the best. So
How many hours in the day?
I think Moss said they needed 4.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I think Moss said they needed 4.
Okay,
They must
and
have
then
needed
the
4.
other,
I think that's gonna be a little bit up to you guys. I mean, we have a lot of
28th
stuff.
would be better for me. I have to work on the 26th. I'd rather not have to use PTO.
That's what kind of I was leaning towards, was trying to get you guys in here on a weekend. But I knew we were already kind of cutting into anybody else feel good about the 28th? It'd be nice to lock that in at this meeting.
Flexible with
Feel
either.
good is after all.
Fair. So 4 hours with Moss Adams on Saturday, and then I would leave 4 to 6 on Sunday.
4 to 6 on Sunday.
4 to 6 hours on Sunday. Well, breakfast.
46 hours.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
not
Not from
couple
4 to
hours.
6. Yeah.
Okay.
From 4 to 6 hours on Sunday, 4 hours on Saturday. We'll have lunch, probably breakfast on
4
Sunday.
hours, you did 4 hours Saturday
Yeah.
and 4 to 6 hours on Sunday.
Just be most likely at the House 3 or Pavilion.
We'll see where I'm gonna do it. If I do a pavilion, I need to feed, and we need to feed everybody. That's 2 really long days. Then you're talking about catering and bringing it down. We could just do something like sandwiches. We did it at Gorgeous at the last one. The setup's kind of weird, but the food's right there. So I'll look at a couple places. We have previously done it at Cooper Spurs. which is, it's nice to get somewhere and spend time with each other, and you have the hotel room, so you kind of have the evening to relax and have some just, time getting to know one another. I'm pulling back on some of that this year, right, trying to keep it a little local, more local. I think there's some interest and some involvement that wants to happen from the community, so we're inviting that and hope that they can make it.
Yeah, well, while we're, talking about meetings and that sort of thing, there's something also throw out, and I don't have any kind of timeline or actually a definite yet, but, there's been a lot of interest, both from the city and from, the planning commission and the city council, and, I think it would benefit all of us is to, I've been checking into doing a day training, probably a Saturday. Chinook Institute of, Civic Leadership. It's about planning. So I spoke with John Morgan about that, kind of throughout, what I felt was needed as far as an overview of planning, how the planning process works, what the duties and responsibilities are, how you change things in a community using planning. He says, been doing that exact training for 15 years. And spoke with Mark Knudsen from SDAO, who has been to the training, says it's fantastic. So I talked to him about, and Jeremiah, about potentially having the port fund that training, and it would be community training basically. So anybody from any of the council or the commission, planning commission or our commission, all meet and get this training. That's basically kind of where we start. I think that, as I've said before, that's kind of the missing piece that is why things sometimes haven't happened in this community, because we've done lots of these idea sessions, but then no follow-up as far as the major moving pieces of how we get there. And John is great at community planning and great at training. We've got a lot of experience, and I think would be very valuable for us to all say, oh, that's how it works. So anyway, that's kind of an idea I've thrown out, and as I said, suggested to Jeremiah that the port should just consider funding that, because that would be great. I think it would be a great kind of team building thing between the other agencies here in the community, and a way for us all to get on the same page and understand what the next steps are.
I don't know that.
So anyway, as I said, we'll make sure we give you plenty of notice as to when the potential dates could be, and we'll, I think it's later in January, maybe first part of February, somewhere first part of the year.
Okay.
So that's it. Okay, if there's nothing further to come before us, I'll suggest that we make a motion to adjourn. I'll entertain it if somebody want to make.
I'll make motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.
Get better, Gary.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Happy birthday,
Get
Gary.
better.
Oh, thanks.